Bank of Jamaica Governor Brian Winter says Jamaicans should change their dogged focus on the exchange rate and instead realize that its impact on inflation has waned.
Mr. Winter, who was speaking at the bank's quarterly press briefing on Monday, pointed out that things and times have changed, adding that the days of the dollar only depreciating are over.
With that, he says the bank's focus has changed and it will now only focus on targeting inflation. TVJ's Dashan Hendricks reports.
I'm pleased to report that Jamaica's transition to a modern, competitive foreign exchange market is now successfully in train.
Bank of Jamaica Governor Brian Winter sending a message that the pressure Jamaicans are used to seeing on the dollar is no more, as efforts by the government in recent years to put its fiscal house in order are having a positive impact on the exchange rate. That means that Jamaicans will no longer see the dollar only losing value. It will gain as well, as it has been doing since October of this year, as the market responds to increased US dollar supply.
Importantly, these changes in market behavior are occurring in the context of a currency that remains broadly, fairly valued.
And he says he's been saying the dollar is fairly valued for the last 2 years, with Jamaica earning more foreign exchange than is spent, something the governor says is likely to continue in the next few years.
In light of this, the performance of the exchange rate should not be a surprise.
But he said people remain skeptical when he pronounces the dollar is fairly valued. The Bank of Jamaica governor says that things have changed in the foreign exchange market, and people with long memories of slides in the dollar causing inflation in Jamaica are not recognizing that change. But he says that the change is such that it is no longer justified to continue watching the foreign exchange. Instead, he says people should be watching the inflation rate, which is low and likely to remain low in the near future. It means the Bank of Jamaica can and has changed the focus. Meeting a certain inflation rate is now its target, and everything it does will be with an eye on ensuring prices rise no more than that inflation rate.
The target has been set by the minister at 4 to 6%.
He says it will mean the central bank will shift its policy rates based on how it sees inflation and not to defend the dollar. If it believes inflation will rise outside the targeted range, its policy rates will rise. A belief that inflation will fall below the target will trigger it to reduce the policy rates, as it did last week, cutting policy rates from 3.5 to 3.25% based on the outlook that inflation over the next 2 years will fall comfortably within the 4 to 6% inflation target set by the government. Dashan Hendricks, TVJ News.